Father Vasken is a better human being, is a better priest than his father is. And I mean it. He is. I know his nature as a human being. He gets hurt, but he doesn't hurt. He loves you people. Now, dear Vasken, I have some things here that I want you to have it, passing it from one generation to the next generation. When I was ordained, my mother sent me from Cyprus a cross. It's all silver cross. This is the same type of a cross that in Cyprus, in Larnaca, the altar was decorated, adorned with similar crosses. This comes from Cyprus. My mother had ordered it to a goldsmith, and it's written the day of my ordination. And I want him to have it and use it in good health.
I want to begin by sending out our love to all those dedicated members of our parish who were here on October 30, 1994, and have since entered their eternal life. May they feel worthy of the crowns of heaven. Our thoughts and prayers are with them all, and there's so many. All right, I'm going to fast forward. Today's been a day of sharing. So I want to join in the sharing. I want to do that by sharing a little bit about my life by drawing a picture for you all of what a typical Sunday morning looks like from where I have stood for the last 20 years. Badarak has begun. The Divine Liturgy has begun. And one by one, little by little, the people are entering the church. And I look out from the altar and I see the people in the pews. The young couple I counseled last week to discuss their upcoming marriage. They're in the pews. The dad who just lost his job. He's in the pews with his wife. The newlyweds whose wedding I celebrated just last month. They're smiling at me from the pews. The boy's smiling too much, actually. The grandmother, struggling with her aches and pains. She looks so tired sitting in the pews. The face of the parishioner whose funeral I conducted last year. I still see her sitting in her pew. That college freshman who's back home visiting is looking around the church of her childhood as she sits in the pews. I've had the privilege of knowing all these stories, your stories, and so many more. And as I turn to offer my Sunday sermon, every Sunday I quietly ask God to please fill me with the words that need to be spoken here today. Words that will comfort and challenge, words that will encourage and embrace, and words that will help people grow closer to their God, to their faith, and to the Armenian Church. Every Sunday before I turn, those are the words I offer up to God. In preparing for today, I realized I've never shared with you the story of my life as I've seen it, although you saw a lot of it up there. So here it is, and I share it with the hope that it brings us even closer. A 20-year story is really no longer than a blink of an eye. My 20 years began after I returned from a life-altering 2 years in Holy Etchmiadzin, and standing with 1 million demonstrators in the streets of Yerevan, the people seeking their independence from the Soviet Union. 1 million people. My 20 years began after a horrible earthquake that I can still feel, that swallowed up too many of my friends' homes and villages and left their families forever devastated. My 20 years began after learning from His Holiness Vasken I, an irreplaceable memory for me, a holy man full of grace. It includes, as it was said, kissing the hands of Mother Teresa as she came to Armenia to care for the orphan children left behind by that terrible earthquake. and kneeling at the altar of Holy Echmiadzin to receive the ordination to the diaconate, and graduating from St. Nerses and St. Vladimir seminaries with the closest brothers I've ever had. One flew out last night from California to be here with us. But the richest chapters of my story began when I married the woman God created just for me. These chapters include the welcoming and warm ways of the parishioners of the Springfield Church, and 17 years of teaching and mentoring the youth and the teens of St. Vartan Camp, 3 years of living out of a suitcase to serve the youth of our diocese full-time. They include returning to the parish that raised me so that I can give back what I received over the years. My 20 years includes offering what I can to our diocesan council, working with the greatest church staff imaginable, and watching in amazement as our youth and young adult program thrive here in Cambridge. And my 20 years includes the privilege of eulogizing your loved ones, marrying your children, and baptizing the next generation. So I blinked my eyes, and 20 years passed. And I feel very humbled, a little wiser, but with more reason to believe than ever before. On the day before my ordination, my father and I, we were in the church on the altar inside here at Holy Trinity, practicing and preparing for the next day. And for a moment, we both broke down, and we shed a tear or two. He, because he understood firsthand the beauty of what I yet knew nothing about. I think, because when you make the decision to follow one path, you are making a decision to let other paths go. But I'm so glad I did. 20 years ago, my father put me under his arm and began sharing with me the pastoral insights and nuances he learned along the way that I've taken with me and relied on every day. 20 years ago, my father also became my mentor and my advocate to always place my trust in God, no matter what life throws at you. I am far from the priest he is, but I am his son. And for that, I thank God every day. 20 years ago, I stepped into our church, fully vested for the first time. You saw a little bit in the video. I noticed that the church was rather crowded that day. But I noticed 3 expressions, 3 faces among all the people gathered that I will never forget. My grandmother, my mother, and my wife. Their faces lit up as they watched me receive this most rare blessing. It was the day that they gave another member of our family back to God. The day they heard him renamed with a name that I am assuredly most unworthy, but most honored to carry. 2 of them are in my heart forever now. Selfless women, nurturing, devoted, loving women. But the third one walks with me every day. I could have never dreamed of a more perfect person with whom to walk through life than the one he graced my life with. It's as if God created her to not only walk with me, but to join me step by step. And together, we have worked for the good of his church. She's your Yeretskin. She's my far greater half. She grounds me, and yet she dreams with me. She works with me, and she plays with me. And she's the one I've enjoyed life with along the way. So I direct these next words to her. I'm going to try anyway. Arpi, in my life, you are the one. I met you on a mission trip to Armenia. Before the trip was over, I knew that you were the one. You stood before your family and your friends, and you accepted me. Why, I'll never really understand. For so many reasons, you're the one God wanted me to share my life with. You have done so much for our church, and young lives have changed because of you. I was thrilled for Holy Trinity. When you focus your God-given passion for youth ministry on our youth and our young adult program, turning it into one of the most vibrant and healthiest I've ever seen. You did that. This celebration is every bit about you as well. You're the one whose phone will ring in the middle of the night because there's a young adult who needs your trust to help her through a dilemma she's facing at that very moment. You're the one who builds programs for young people by living youth ministry. You're the one who raises our daughter all too often by yourself because there's a need in the community and I have to step away from our home. You're the one who keeps our family intact, the one who knows my feelings when I haven't even uttered a word, the one who your parents raised to cherish our Armenian faith and heritage. And you are the one who I love so very much. And God knows I don't tell you that often enough. But for my life, you are the one. In my life, 3 women have touched my heart in ways I still don't understand. The first was my mother. In my eyes, her halo shines brightly. I think about her every day. Every badarak, every morning, every vibrant and fiery sunset, every family milestone, every day. You know how I miss her. Should we thank the priests or the ones who raised them? The second one is my wife, and I don't know how she does what she does. But the third one grew up in front of you, our daughter Alina, the one who can put a smile on my face just by entering the room. I love spending time with our daughter. Here's a confession. It's the most joyful part of my day. So these next words are for her. Alina, I feel like I'm on cloud 9 when spending time with you. I know that no 12-year-old wants to be the focus or spoken about in a room like this. I get that. But I have to, because I once stood in your shoes, and I know it's not always easy to be you. So in front of all these people, I want you to hear these words. God has blessed our lives the day you were born. And you too are very much a part of this celebration. And you have been a better PK than I ever was. You're in this church, in this hall, 50 out of 52 Sundays a year and never complain. You've done your homework in this hall because there's a meeting in the other room and your parents have to attend to it and you never complain. You've helped us set up for events on Saturday mornings most of your life when your friends are at the mall or at a must-see movie or doing some other fun thing and you never complained. I say these things because the people sitting around you in this hall today love you. They have been your extended family since the day you were born. So in front of all these people, I'm taking a moment to share with you just how proud I am of you and of who you've become and of who you are becoming. Ladies and gentlemen, as so many of you have said to me about your children, I too say, God has honored me by being the father of Alina. That's my story. That's the story of my life. I hope it pleases him. And thank you, every single one of you, for coming here today to be part of this celebration. God be with us all. God be with Holy Trinity Church. Thank you. Amen.